Why don't we take a listen to it? You want to go ahead and...
Sure. Now, we're playing through your little Quilter solid-state amp, which is a great sort of litmus test, because no one's going to be able to say, well, yeah, he was playing through the whiskey. Anything sounds good through that, right? You know, like the Quilter's a solid-state amp that's very unforgiving. It gives you exactly what you put back.
Yeah, but it's very flat, so you can get
Right.
You're getting it on. And I just have to mention, when I talked to Dan on the phone, I said I wanted to try this, and he was like, that is totally cool. We'll do that, which I think shows that you have confidence in your product, because you're totally cool.
Well, it's, what we're making is food here. There's no right or wrong. You know? I'm not going to tell most of the world that the Big Mac's going to kill you, because they love it. But, it's just food. There's no right or wrong. And I'm sure we could have plugged Hendrix into your Quilter, and he'd sound just like Hendrix.
That's true.
So...
Well, let's take a listen to. We got Frank on the guitar right now.
Sure. I mean, this is your clean sound. That's the clean sound coming out of the Quilter amp. If I switch on the color bender and I leave it in the stock setting, you can hear how much gain there is. The gain knob isn't even that high right
So you can hear how much gain that is.
What are the toggle switches on there?
Well, that's what changes the gain structure up front, and that's what makes this tone bender type of circuit more usable, really not just for today's players and today's gear, but just even more usable as a different kind of device. Like, you can use this almost as an overdrive unit that's in front of an amp that's already overdriven, and get all this germanium flavoring, all the seasoning, right, in the soup. But without all that extra gain that you're stuck with really with a bender. And so people have done that in the past. They've pulled some gain out of the circuit, but a lot of times they'll do it in such a way that just makes it a little bit more bland. It's a little more like you've turned your guitar's volume knob down. And so it just is a little more duller. There's a little more loading on it. And so we did it in such a way that it kind of opens up the highs and opens up the mids so that you get a little bit more clarity when you drop down to the lower gain setting.
So the settings don't shut off one of the transistor stages.
No.
It doesn't do. They're always three. In this case, there's three.
Yeah.
So they're always on.
They're always on because that retains the flavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we took a transistor out, it wouldn't be a Mark II tone bender circuit anymore.
Okay.
You mind showing us the switches?
Sure, yeah.
Or the differences?
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm doing the high gain setting, the regular setting, I mean, that's with the gain still down. If I crank the gain up, it's off the chart.
You think about modern guys using these kind of pedals for the youngsters out there, Jack White and Dan Auerbach with the Black Keys. These old Germanium pedals are an integral part of their sound.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. So if I take the gain all the way down, but in the original setting, it's still this much. So now I'm going to throw this switch. You have a whole different pedal, basically. You've got a whole different gains that, stay. Now that's still with the gain knob, or the tack knob as it's called on this type of pedal. Now that's still with that all the way down. I still have room to bring that up and get that sort of cleaner sound, but with a little more saturation. I'll show you that.
Yeah, it gets that kind of chunk. It reminds me a lot of like the Stones type of.
Exactly. Well, when you're playing it through a big, a big amp, we're playing. Just so you guys know, what is that? A 10-inch, 8-inch,
Yeah.
8-inch speaker in a radio studio. So
Yeah.
when you play it through, a 212 or 412, you're going to know that sound right away. And for guys our age, it immediately kind of makes the goosebumps happen.
Yeah, it's got that chunk to it,
Right.
Well, that sound honestly reminded me a lot of ZZ Top, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, he used a Champ, so that might be exactly why. He used an 8-inch.
That first record, there's a lot of
Yeah.
Mark II tone bender all over it.
Well, yeah. Let's listen to the second voice of the low gain setting, right? So when I was here, I had I've got sort of the cleanest of the two lower gain settings. And when I throw the switch, now I got a second voice. And that's the one that's a little more nasal, a little bit more sort of
Think
lead tone kinda
Mick
interface.
Ronson and Spiders from Mars. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, so even on this lower gain setting, if I take that second voice and I bring up the gain, the attack knob all the way, you'll see just how much is even on tap in the low gain setting. But then again, what we're listening for is like just how harmonically balanced it is, and it doesn't fall apart. It'll get chaotic,
Oh yeah.
but not in such a way that is. And again, it's the Quilter amp, it's the mics. We're not laying tracks here in the middle of a
We're
Pro Tools
playing
studio.
at like 95
but
decibels.
but you'll hear, yeah. I mean, you'll hear how it sort of stays intact.
Hey, Frank, go to the neck pickup with that.
Sure.
big sustain.
And I thought I needed that sustainer that Nordic put in Steve Vai's guitar. I don't need it with that thing.
No.
That thing is just holding it.
Yeah.
Add a little delay to that, and you'll have Eric Johnson, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a lot of germanium stuff in his rig.
Yeah.
This is a London. This was our first amp we released, and this is actually one I built in my house like 12 years ago. And then I gigged with for a long time, and then it was resident at Jay Leno for about 5 years. So this amp was on the Tonight Show more than Betty White.
Okay, well, let's take a listen now. Now, let's hear a little bit of the clean sound on
Sure.
this.
This is the sound of the amp. So you can hear there's a little bit of dirt coming out of the amp. It's getting pushed just a little bit, and that's what sort of sets us up to be able to push it even harder and hear how the pedal takes it, over the edge, right?
Okay.
Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna start with a lower gain setting on this thing, and then we'll just work our way up to total chaos and mayhem. Right?
Okay.
We're gonna bring the gain up just a little bit, but I'm gonna leave that setting the same.
That really sounds like you're just pushing your power stage to.
And that's an 18-watt amp that's on 2.5.
Yeah.
It's 18 watt. And what speaker? Is that two speakers or one?
Yeah, there's a G12H30 and an Alnico Blue in
Alnico Blue.
That's my little mix that I like to do in my low-powered amps. So, but you can tell when you're running it through tubes, right away, it sounded quite a bit much more like an old record.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a Les Paul. We're plugged straight in through this pedal. There's nothing else going on.
Right.
And a pair of EL84s. And it's a single gain stage on this amp. So the amp itself is not doing a whole lot of coloration. You're just getting tubes.
Right.
So.
So now I'll switch it to voice 2, which is that little more nasally aggressive voice, still in the lower gain setting. And I'll sweep through some of the gain range. I'll start with it low and kind of bring it up higher.
Okay.
Just for reference, turn the pedal off again to remind people what our bass line is.
All right.
So the amp is in normal mode. It has a little bit of clip to it.
Just a little texture on the top.
Yeah. So we're going to have Frank take us out. Everybody have a great end of your holiday.
And make sure you see Dan at Gear Fest at Sweetwater.
That's right.
That's right.
Come to Indiana, baby.
And this is full bender, full gain. So we're going to break. Some of the paint's coming off the walls.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Cheers, everybody.
All right.